Good morning, this is Dr. Lurs with a follow-up on my discussion of AI. So, yesterday I made a YouTube short and it got a lot of interest, so I thought I'd make a longer follow-up to discuss some of those key points in more detail. First of all, an old way of plagiarizing was to copy and paste large chunks of a work directly from the internet. SparkNotes, CliffNotes, various other websites had summaries and even full papers on topics. And students would either copy and paste directly and call it their own, or they'd copy and paste and change a few sentences. So that's either a direct identity theft plagiarism, as in all you changed was the name on top, or it's cherry pick plagiarism, in which you would keep the majority of someone else's work and then change a few phrases and not cite anything and call it your own. That was easily caught because you could just take one of the phrases from the paper, plug it into a Google search, and if the kid's entire paper shows up, then I knew as an English teacher then that paper was plagiarized. There is a method of plagiarism called remix, and that you take 2 or 3 sources and you mash them together and you call it your own. And you make it sound like those 2 or 3 sources are one author. And that author is you. Again, you don't cite anything, you just mash it all together and call it your own. That's wasn't as popular before because it's a lot of work to do that. I mean, you're practically writing a paper yourself if you're mixing up 3 different sources as your own. You might as well just write the paper and cite the sources like you would in a research paper and do it straight instead of crooked, instead of cheating. So remix was not as popular with students in the days before ChatGPT. What ChatGPT does is it remixes the entire internet. So it's remix plagiarism right off the bat because it takes everything it knows about a topic, and if you give it a prompt, it will mash it all together and make it sound like it was written by one person. So the issue is it hallucinates, it will make up sources, and it is programmed to boldly answer questions. And if it doesn't quite know the answer, it makes stuff up. It makes up sources and it doesn't really cite them well. So in any citation format, be it APA or MLA format, AMA if you're in the medical field, or Chicago Manual of Style, it doesn't do that very well. And it's very repetitive. And it equivocates. It never really says anything of any substance. It just talks in circles with word salad. That's academic and formulaic until it just ends with a nice, neat, tidy bow at the end of the essay. So AI, at least what's out there right now, it's not the best essay writer, but it makes you sound intelligent, and it remixes from the entire internet, and it provides an easy way out for kids that's hard to prove. That's the big thing. It's hard to prove. All those AI detectors will give you a probability that something was written by AI, and it'll highlight phrases that have the hallmarks of AI, but it provides that student with plausible deniability. I mean, that's a problem, because instead of having something that makes it easy to catch the student, as in you copied this off the internet, here's the web page, it's essentially having someone else do their homework for them and then putting their name on it. It's like they have their personal nerd in the corner of the room that's just doing work for them, and just like George McFly, just handing it to them and saying, no, I even made the handwriting look like yours. But instead of handwritten, it's all typed. So I want to also disprove or put to rest some really anti-AI sentiment that's out there. Because even as an English teacher and as a history teacher, I do see the value in AI, but it's not in having something write your work for you and remix it from the entire internet. It's source mining. If you tell ChatGPT, find me 10 refereed, double-blind, high-quality studies from prestigious medical journals about patients with pancreatic cancer who are under 50 years old, who are female, and tell me outcomes and best courses of treatment for those patients. It will give you sources that you can then go and find and read yourself. That's immensely valuable. Instead of dealing with the labyrinth of all the different sources on the internet, you can use AI to help you find good sources and then read them yourself. Source mining is not a problem for ChatGPT. That's an amazing use that will revolutionize research, because it can find you sources like that instead of having to scour through them on individual engines or search mechanisms. And then you could go out and find the PDFs and find the documents, and now you have them. That's great. That's an amazing tool. The issue is trying to if all you're doing is copying and pasting something from ChatGPT and trusting it, then you're not actually learning anything on your own. So that leaves it up to us teachers on how to stop that. One is honest conversations about plagiarism early. Plagiarism workshops, candid discussions, small group discussions, and large group discussions on the nature of plagiarism and academic honesty. Finding good sources and citing those sources successfully, using warrants to defend your arguments. We need to be able to do that. We need to have those discussions early on with the kids to let them know what remix plagiarism is, what ghost citations are, what cherry picking is. I mean, like elementary school philosophies of just make sure that you make it sound like your own work, make sure you change a few things. That's still in their brains, even in 10th, 11th, 12th grade and beyond. You have to have honest discussions and workshops on what plagiarism is and what it looks like, because it's not just buying an essay online. So having those discussions early and showing how ChatGPT can be used, that's valuable. So I have ChatGPT myself. I take my prompts and run it through ChatGPT. If a kid turns in an essay, it looks identical to what I have already, that's pretty good evidence. That's the closest thing to the Google search of a single document or of a single phrase from a kid's work. So, as I mentioned before, the document history, that's the biggest thing. If you can see that was all written in 1 second, 1,500 words or more, in one single copy and paste, that's really useful. Now, somebody pointed out, well, they can just load it up on their phone and type it line by line from AI. Well, if you're doing that, you're probably learning a bit more than you would if you would just copy and paste, because you actually have to read and input it. So yes, you can get around the document history by typing it line by line. But my contention is that at least eliminates the problem of people copy and pasting the entire thing. You're learning a little bit more that way. And if kids know that we are actually, like right now, it's everybody's speeding. It's the Autobahn out there on the highway. We need some deterrence. We need some, even if all we have is, well, we'll look at document history. That's more than what we're doing now, because each of those AI detectors provides plausible deniability. And if a kid has plausible deniability, it's harder to nail them to the wall and prove that plagiarism occurred. The document history is a way to show this was all done with one single edit. You cannot write 1,500 words in 1 second, because Google Docs with the document history, it'll show line by line. Every time they delete something, you'll see cross-outs. Normally, and in writing a document organically, you'll see dozens of edits, not just one, not just two. So you can prove the cherry picking, as in fixing a few lines, changing a few lines, and the single big thing. And if they do type it line by line, then at least they're learning a little bit more than they would if they just copied and pasted, because now they actually have to read. We need honest discussions moving forward. So hopefully you enjoyed this long form video. Like and comment below. Lurs out.